All right, episode 120. We're back, baby.
It's one tweezy.
One tweezy. I like it. That ties into the rap battle that seems to be going around right now as well.
Drake versus
the diss tracks. Although this is going to be old news by the time this podcast actually comes out.
We are in the throes of the Drake versus
okay.
Kendrick Lamar rap battle.
We're a couple old guys. We can be behind the times on things.
You know who just dropped a new track also? I've literally just listened to.
MGK.
No, Macklemore.
I don't know who that is. Macklemore.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm old, dude. Dude, I listen to metal. I listen to rock. I listen to
I'm going to pop
jazz.
some tags.
No.
You know the thrift store?
No.
Oh
no,
boy.
No. If it's my favorite, there's a fantastic podcaster, YouTuber. Everybody look him up. He's actually here in Atlanta. His name's Rick Beato. Have you ever heard of this guy?
Can I finish my Macklemore story?
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
So
I just launched in, man.
who
I got
everybody else knows except for you,
Yeah.
dropped a track about the campus protests, the Palestine
Okay.
campus protests.
Okay, interesting. Intense.
And it's called Heinz Hall, and I think it's named after the Columbia University, like
Okay.
one of the dorms.
Okay.
Anyway, go listen to it. It's interesting. I'm not gonna weigh in on any of that.
That's the end of the story.
That's the end of the story. But
Okay.
he dropped in the middle of and he references. The reason I bring it up is because he references the Drake Kendrick Lamar
In his
his new song.
It's amazing how quickly music comes out now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, we've got Pro Tools, we've got all the stuff. Everybody's got.
Yeah, it's all about the home
studio.
studio now.
It's not like, oh my God, I got to buy time at the whatever and go record it and mix it and tape. And there's no tapes involved and none of that kind of stuff anymore.
Well, it's also because a lot of them are independents and they don't require a label to
it's true.
distribute
It's true.
and do all the produce and do all the things.
Well, I'm going to tag back in on my Rick Beato. He's an Atlanta guy.
Rick B. Shout out.
Beato, and he is an amazing musician, guitar player, but can play everything, right? And he has all the musicians. If they come through Atlanta, they go and sit on his tour. He just had, he's got hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos. But he just had
podcast and musician. That's what he does.
Yeah. But he interviews. He's the interviewer of musicians, right?
Okay.
He probably taught half of Atlanta how to play guitar at one point. He had his own band.
Okay.
He just interviewed Josh Freese, the new Foo Fighter drummer, which is a fantastic interview. Goes through his entire career and how he got the call from Dave and things like that. But he's an amazing guitarist, and one of his funny little YouTube things, like 10 minutes, right? He will do the Spotify top 10, and he will review it. Right.
Okay.
And he'll sit there, turn the camera on, put on the laptop, and say like, "Hey, I don't know what the top 10 is," and he goes through and he sits there and he listens to it, and he's got his guitar, slung around his and he sits there and he figures out how to play the song, within the first 30 seconds or whatever that, and then he gives you like the musical breakdown on like, oh, this is an A minor, this is a this, here's the chord progression,
6/8 time, and blah blah blah. Yeah.
And the Spotify top 10, it'll be like, Taylor Swift, but then it's the global Spotify top 10. So
okay, so you get an eclectic mix.
Yeah, so you'll get some reggaeton, you get all sorts of weird stuff in there, right? But even the craziest hip hop or non-guitar based thing, he will figure out the musical aspect of how it goes. And he laughs and laughs about how he doesn't know who any of these bands are. And I sit there and watch it going, I don't know who any of these bands are either. I mean, to your point about Macklemore, I'm like, there's nobody in the Spotify top 10 worldwide that I personally listen to, when I'm listening in my office. So I always get a kick out of that. And he most recently, watch out, the Swifties are going to come after him.
Oh, Lord.
Whatever one of the new Taylor Swift songs is in there, he was ripping on.
Well, all of them are on there, I feel like.
It's all of them. But he was talking about how, one of the lyrics is she's so depressed about something.
Okay.
But his funny juxtaposition was, well, use your minor keys if you're going to write a depressing song. And here it is, this upbeat, and he goes on he's like, what do you have to be depressed about? Like, you're literally queen of the world, right? Yeah, exactly. All that kind of stuff. So, he interjects his own fun little stuff or whatever that. But
it is interesting that a lot of musicians, very successful musicians, and I'll give you an anecdote in a minute, but don't know how to read music. And just the idea of listening and learning by ear versus actually being able to read sheet music.
Sure.
I cannot read sheet music. At one point in time, I learned how to do it.
In high school, I think we all learned.
And then I've since forgotten, but I can learn stuff by ear.
Yeah.
not like sounds like this guy can, but I can pick up stuff by ear and kind of figure it out that way. And it was interesting. There was a Howard Stern was interviewing and did like a town hall with Billy Joel not long ago.
Okay.
And Billy Joel was saying the same thing. I mean, we think of the Piano Man, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know how to read sheet music."
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. He's like, a long time ago, I learned how, and I was very proficient at reading sheet music. He's like, and then I just totally forgot how to do it. He's like, and so I have no idea how to read sheet music anymore, which is interesting if you think about somebody that's that proficient. Who is the Piano Man?
Yeah, he's an accomplished singer-songwriter, obviously.
But then also I did totally learn how to do that, and now I don't remember how to do that.
What's interesting too is your entire career is based on music, yet you haven't needed to do that for arguably 40, 50 years, right? It's not a requirement.
You would think that would be a fundamental requirement for your occupation.
It's almost like you really need actually more music engineering now, right? And more of the Pro Tools and more of the digital sphere than you need to actually document how to play that song from and we've got guitar tabs, you've got, chord progressions. It's really more about
once tablature came out, then it was like, we don't need staffs and treble clefs and things. We don't need all that stuff.
Yeah. You don't need any of that stuff. So
no.
It's interesting. There's more musicians out there like that than I think we probably realize, to be honest.
Yeah, so I think there are too.
I don't know how to tie that into today's topic. I don't know how we do a hard pivot from that, but maybe since we just went on a 5-minute riff about sort of the world around us, that is the topic for today. I thought, right, is inspiration from the world around us.
That's right.
Dun dun dun. And I think this came from, we're working on a campaign right now, right? We had a great call with a client, presented them a bunch of different ideas. They picked a direction, right? And it's okay. We've got a path to head down, right?
It's for a chicken brand of all things.
Yeah. Where do we go from here, right? Like here's kind of the initial platform idea. Okay, well, it's I don't know that it's in an emphasis to break the campaign, but it's in an emphasis to sort of test it and make sure that it's viable for multiple different applications and it's got legs to run, right?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So concepted a bunch of new directions for that, and it's time to scrap together some comps and see what this thing's going to look like, right? And hilariously enough, we're all computer jockeys and we've got all these great, Adobe Creative Suite tools. Couldn't find what I needed to visualize the idea. Right. And the light bulb went off. Oh, let me just take a picture with my phone of something in the office and use that. You know what I mean? Rather than, I got to go to the stock photo place or this or that, And you kind of forget that's how both you and I started, was if you didn't have it, you just make it, right? You just sort of create it, I guess, and we used to scan in a lot of things.
There's a lot of scanning.
We're like, I found this gum wrapper in the gutter.
Yeah, or a texture.
Yeah, here's this cool.
I need
ripped paper. Yeah. Like, let me physically rip some paper and then scan that bad boy in. But then we got so used to just sort of sitting at our desks and pulling up, imagery and the magical, beautiful worlds and the cesspool of the internet, right? But it was like, oh man, let me just kick it old school and literally just grab something from the office to put in the comp, right?
Well, and I think that works from there's a production story, right, of using the world around you to facilitate production. But let's back it up a little bit further. And the particular concept, which I'm happy to share, was sort of inspired by the world around us, right? And it's if you think about creativity and when you're putting together a campaign, a lot of times what you want to do is sort of find little human truths, right?
Yeah.
You want to find things that people can relate to.
Sure, to tell the story.
To tell the story, it makes it a little bit more effective. It helps strike a chord with the audience and all of those things.
Oh, let's see what you did there with bringing the music back in.
There you go.
Strike the chord.
That was
I don't know what sound effect button it. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I interrupted.
So in concepting it was the idea that ended up coming out of our heads, and the one that actually went through is this idea that again we're talking about chicken, and I can share the concept. It's fine. But the idea ended up being this platform of sort of tough deserves tender, right? So they wanted to talk about the tenderness of the chicken and all of these things. So the idea platform was tough deserves tender. And it was, well, what if we create these like everyday little sort of life moments, right? That cause you to have a tough day.
Yeah.
And so you deserve a tender chicken dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was sort of the platform that went through. And now, we're in this phase of coming up with all of these little everyday typical scenarios from the world around us that people can relate to, whether it's having a flat tire or whether it's getting stung by a bee or it's all of just these little things that happen in a day that sort of cause a tough day.
Yeah.
And you get to reward yourself with a tough dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or a tender dinner.
What did I say?
You said
dinner?
Tough dinner.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. I don't even know. Right.
Yeah.
A tender dinner.
Well, we're still in development.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then visually, right? It's pulling inspiration from the world around us, which I think is pretty cool. I love the idea of bringing in a little bit of humor, especially when, hey, it's a cold ass world out there. You know what I mean? And like, shit, my check engine light went on, or whatever the case may be, right?
Yep.
But visually, art directionally, it's like, oh, there's nothing better. There's no stock photo that's going to be better than actually the item that is around us.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it truly is kind of old school advertising, which I love, which is let's grab all the things around us.
And not only that, but you can use your iPhone to take the picture now.
Well, we still have technology.
For comp. This is for comp purposes, mind you.
Yeah.
Every photographer out there just is like immediately
dying.
unsubscribed from our podcast. Seriously, after that last comment.
Yeah, I put my iPhone on 0.5 and flipped it upside down and took it. No, we're not doing that. Yeah, when this gets real, we'll actually document things, of course. So I think I think it's important to get up out of your desk. You know what I mean, and remember that there is the inspiration all around us. You know what I mean, and. In this instance, it's obviously turning a negative into a positive, right? That juxtaposition. But where else?
I always tell my kids this. This is a random.
Yeah, here we go. This is good.
But I always teach my kids, no matter what they're doing, awareness. Just be aware.
Awareness.
Just be aware of your surroundings. I don't care whether it's I'm teaching my daughter to drive, and it's just, hey, I need you to be aware of everything around you. Yeah. But I think that applies too and I've told my kids this too, like, they're like, how do you come up with ideas and things? And how do you figure out all this stuff? And I'm like, well, because I'm just aware. It's just awareness of the world around you and awareness of everything from, funny little things that happen in life to being aware of people's emotions, to being aware of the traffic around you and And I think that's just kind of a nice universal lesson we all
and that is honestly the basis of probably most comedy, right? That's very Jerry Seinfeld of you, right? Yeah. Seinfeld is famous for, and again, we're dating ourselves because although he does have the #1 movie on Netflix right now. So, but his whole, where do you come up with the? It's like just look around you. That's what he always says. Just look around you. Like it's ridiculous everywhere. Humor is everywhere. That So, I mean, that's definitely one type of comedy, right? It's just that observational humor, right? Yep. It makes a lot of sense. So, I'm always telling my kids to be aware of your surroundings, but more in the don't be a clumsy person. Like, you just
tripped over
you spilled your drink because you put it right on the edge of the counter, and that drives Dad crazy.
If Don Mock hates one thing,
it's spilling. Oh my lord! It's
spilling.
I am scarred from spilling. So do not put that drink right there.
Just awareness. Do not set it on the edge of the the edge of the table.
And I'll tell you what. The last time this happened, and I was so upset, I physically stood up and left the room. And shout out to Kathy, who's probably listening to this. The one time I didn't say something in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah.
The one time
Kathy, your mother-in-law?
Kathy, my mother. Yeah. Big family gathering, nice big Bloody Mary, right on the edge of this little, I don't even know what you call it, like bench kind of table thing right in front of the couch. And it's right there teetering on the edge.
Bloody Mary too, tomato.
And it's the brand new carpet that we put down, the rug, I should say, the brand new rug that was put down. Because
what color is the rug?
White. White. It's a nice white, tannish, natural sort of thing, and one of those thick rug, like Sicily things, but not the hard, crustily, like
not like real Sicily.
You can walk on a barefoot, but it's a big knit kind of rug scenario, right?
Cracks, a lot of cracks.
Oh God. And I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, do I say something? And then boom, that whole Bloody Mary.
Did she knock it?
Or knocked right over. knocked right over.
But hit the glass or knock the table and then the glass knocked over?
Hit the glass.
Hit the actual glass.
Hit the glass, and the whole thing.
Oh boy!
Right on the thing, and I looked at it, and then I looked up, and then I looked at my wife, and I immediately left the room.
Did you go get stuff to clean it up, or did you? Or no?
No. I was like, I
you were
have
in such
to.
a fit of rage, you had to leave the property.
I'm going to say something inappropriate in a family gathering. Like,
it's your mother-in-law, so you're smart. You were smart
now,
to bite your lip.
Let it be known, my mother-in-law was not the one who spilled the Bloody Mary. I'm just saying shout out to Kathy because I know that she listens to this podcast from time to time.
Who was the culprit?
So, well, there's a game of pass the buck on that one. And there are half of the witnesses think it was one person, half of the witnesses think it was the other. And I'm not going to out them right now.
Okay. But do you know the truth?
Oh, I know who it was. Yeah. Yeah. I'm, you want to talk about aware of the world around you, right? I'm a very, observation is my, I notice the weirdest, it's the art director in me, right?
You notice a lot of things that I would never notice. That's for sure.
Yeah. I pick up, a
lot of people's physical attributes.
Yeah. Well, that makes me sound shallow, but I'm a visual, I see the world visually. I don't see the world from an audio perspective or, narrative or anything like that. I don't see, I see visuals everywhere I go. Right. So, so if you think I don't know who spilt that Bloody Mary, you are sorely mistaken. So, well, this has gone off the rails, but I think
there's a lot of lids. There need to be a lot of lids on a lot of Stanleys in your house.
That
just lids. Everything has a lid.
That Bloody Mary was full too. That was not a half. That was fresh out of the bar, right there.
Ice and everything. Ice and all. I can maybe even a garnish.
Yeah, I see it in slow motion.
Is the stain still there?
Yes, it was impossible to get it out. And we tried.
Have you turned the rug to hide it under a corner of furniture?
We removed all of the furniture from the room. It's a huge rug, dude. It's like, I don't know, 15 feet long. It's the whole room, basically, right? We lifted it up, reoriented the entire thing, and put it over in the back corner now.
Yeah.
So it's not very visible.
You can't find it. Right.
You can't find it. But
you know it's there.
Oh, I know it's there. I know it's there. Yeah.
Speaking of cleaning rug, you need to go get you a steam cleaner. I rented one from Home Depot from Lowe's last.
Rug Doctor or whatever?
$39 for a Bissell.
I haven't done that. I haven't rented a carpet washing thing since I lived in an apartment.
I did it last weekend.
And we had to do that to clean it up before we leave to get our security deposit back.
Yeah, $39 last weekend.
But then you got to buy all the goo, all the liquid.
Buy one container of stuff.
Okay. What'd you clean? Some carpets?
Oh boy, howdy! I cleaned all the carpets in my house. Yeah, I got a lot of points.
It's a lot of work.
Oh, it's so much work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
A lot of brownie points for that.
I didn't realize you could do that.
But I have 3 dogs. We have 3 dogs.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Our carpets are a disaster.
Yeah. Well, they bring, and when it's raining and muddy and whatever else.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on observational comedy, the world around us? It's just kind of morphed into inspiration.
From everywhere and anywhere. And it is. I'll agree with Seinfeld. Everything is everywhere. You can find comedy, you can find serious situations, emotional situations, all those things. And all those things can be brought into what we do, certainly. And that's a lot of where we find our inspiration, be it on the front end strategy side or on the back end production side.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work with the world around you.
Yes. Where can people find us in the world around us?
We are. I was going to tie it into awareness, and I couldn't get there fast enough.
Right. This one's gone off the rails. So
yeah. How about the internet? mocktheagency.com.
Yes. There we go.
Or the socials. Mock the Agency.
Not every podcast's a winner, Rob.
I don't think this one's a loser. I'll give it a B-.
Yeah, we've done better. And we've done worse.
And we've done worse.
Let's call it.
We're aware. We're aware of how good or bad our podcasts
our standing. Yeah, our place in the world.
All right.
Find us online, everybody.
See you on episode 121.
It's gonna be amazing.
Bye.